Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Scott Lawson, certified business coach with ActionCOACH of Coastal Bend in South Texas, and I'll be your host today. I'm very excited to have our special guest, Sridhar Anandula. Sri is the founder and CEO of WeKare.ai. We're going to talk to Sri about his business, his journey to business ownership, some challenges and successes that he may have had along the way. We'll have him share what it's really like to own and operate a business as an entrepreneur. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe so that you get more content whenever we publish it. Well, Sri, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for this opportunity and helping me reach out to your audience as well.
Great. Well, we are excited to have you on, and you are quite welcome. And I know that this is going to be an interesting conversation for everyone. As the interviewer, I'm going to start with a question just about you, though. We want to know more about WeCare, but I'm going to postpone that until I've asked about you. Tell us about your journey. How did Sri begin?
So my journey began in India. Where I was born and raised with strong values around education, service, and perseverance, right? I pursued a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and later moved to the US to continue my education with master's degree in engineering as well. Since then, US has been home to me. I have been fortunate throughout my career. I have had the opportunity to be part of a wide range of projects, industries, and leadership experiences. Now, early on, like many 20 somethings, I had this ambition, Scott. I wanted to be a CEO. I wanted to build something successful, make money, and be known for what I had achieved. At that time, I guess success meant visibility and validation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But life, as it tends to do, has its own way of reshaping our definitions. Over time, through both professional experiences and personal challenges, some self-inflicted due to lack of knowledge or awareness, others simply part of a human journey. I evolved. I faced hard lessons. I endured setbacks. But even in the most difficult times, I always held on to the thread of hope and drive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after 10 years in the corporate world, I transitioned into building my own companies. Now, that was a turning point. It wasn't just about running a business anymore. It was about discovering who I was and what I stood for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the past decade, that ambition to build remained strong, but its purpose shifted dramatically. Today, I don't want to build something just to say I built it. I want to create something deeply meaningful, something that serves people, that addresses real human needs, and that leaves a legacy, not just for me, but for my children, my family, and the communities I care about. Now, that's how WeKare.ai was born, a company reimagining healthcare through AI, but doing it in a way that is patient first, physician supportive, and compliance forward. Now, it's not just about solving a technical problem, it's about solving a human one. Now, alongside that, I also founded a nonprofit called Sharnam Foundation, which is dedicated to addressing mental health, children's development, and other deeply human challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a way for me to bring together my skills in technology, my experience in leadership, and my values around community and contribution. Now, I am 54 years old now. Some might say that's too late to start something too bold, right? But I feel like I'm just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up every day with a sense of urgency and purpose. I still want to build, I still want to serve. And as scary as it sometimes feels, I want to give this journey everything I got, all the way until my last day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because in the end, I believe the only success that truly matters is the one that uplifts others while staying true to yourself.
Let me ask about WeCare.ai. Tell us about that. It's a startup business?
Yes, it is. So WeKare.ai is a next generation US healthcare platform built to address a critically and growing challenge, which is patient referrals, a key friction point in care coordination and continuity. Now, our platform focuses on care coordination between the providers to reduce delays and fragmentation, thereby also enhancing patient experience by ensuring timely, clear, and connected care journeys. And while we do that, one of the key things is also solving interoperability issues that exist today between disparate health systems. So the data can flow securely, compliantly, and meaningfully. Now, what makes WeKare.ai different? So we combine artificial intelligence, compliance first architecture, and human centered workflows to create real world impact for both physicians and patients. I'll start that again.
Okay.
Where we are right now is we are actively developing our MVP over the next 3 to 5 months so that we can conduct live physician and patient testing in a very iterative feedback cycle. Our goal is to launch our production version ready within this year, starting with the key metro markets in Texas, followed by a nationwide rollout.
Help me understand what your personal role is in the business.
Well, so I'm going to answer that in two parts. Externally, I'm the founder and CEO of WeKare.ai. I lead the vision, drive the growth strategy, and oversee engineering and product development. I am responsible for building and empowering the team, crafting the roadmap, and aligning execution with our mission. But more meaningfully, internally, the role means much more than a title.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself as a servant leader, someone who's still earning this role every day. There's a team investing their time, talent, and belief, and I owe it to them to lead with clarity, empathy, and accountability. I also carry the responsibility of showing up for my family who sacrificed time and presence so I can pursue this mission. My parents who live far away in India and deserve more of me than time permits. Our investors who trust me to deliver on a bold vision. Our partners and stakeholders who collaborate with us in good faith, expecting execution, integrity, and alignment. Now, our customers and end users whose lives we aim to positively impact and whose experiences shape everything we build. If I can meaningfully serve even a subset of these people by staying true to our mission and building something that works for them, then I will feel I have earned the right to be called the CEO.
Mm-hmm. Got to earn it. And
Yeah.
it is something that is indeed earned, just like trust, and that integrity is something that you have to build. It doesn't just happen immediately. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
So,
Yes, sir.
Sri, tell me about your vision when you first started WeCare.ai.
Well, we want to reimagine, or we are reimagining healthcare delivery to be more accessible to all populations, more intelligent through AI driven insights, and more personalized for patients, physicians, and care teams. Now, most existing solutions are system centric, not human centric, meaning they add complexity instead of easing the experience to the stakeholders. We wanted to flip that. And how? Building tools that augment, not burden, both patients and physicians. Now, at the heart of our approach, using AI ethically and effectively to empower healthcare teams and patients, not replace, but enhance their decision making. Now, we are first focused on referrals, a critical pain point where stakeholders often work in silos. Now, timely information and proactive decision making can vastly improve outcomes. It's a present day problem, not a speculative one, but with a very clear urgency and scale. Our long term vision is a system where the right information is available at the right time, enabling proactive, seamless care, not reactive and not being fragmented steps.
So let's look back in time a little bit. What were some of your biggest mistakes along the way, and did you learn from them?
Hmm. Well, when you build something of this sort, right, scope creep is a huge problem, meaning we try to solve too many problems too fast with the limited resources, which is the classic case, right? So what we have learned, or I've also learned, is to take things in a smaller bites
Mm-hmm.
and iterate with a focus and always define clear, measurable outcomes before moving on to the next step. Now, the other issue is underestimating compliance in AI development. Initially we treated compliance as an afterthought, but now we embed it from day one.
Mm.
This shift saves massive downstream risk and aligns us with healthcare's ethical responsibility. Now, the third one is jumping ahead of market maturity. And this I've learned more than once, I think. But at times, I have been ahead of the market, building solutions the world wasn't quite ready to adopt. Now, I pay more attention to customer readiness, not just the urgency of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth one is emotional attachment to ideas. One of the
Mm-hmm.
hardest lessons for me is knowing when to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get attached to an idea you have birthed, right? But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to step back and ask, is this still worth pursuing today? The fifth one is growth to learning, meaning not regretting and not seeing mistakes rather than they being the lessons which I think I needed at that time. Each challenge has helped me grow as a founder and as a human being, especially in how I work with people and navigate complexity.
I think in our working with business owners, we've often seen a couple of those very things that you're talking about that you learned through those experiences as well. It is difficult to let go of an idea when you've tried everything and it still doesn't work. We try to help people do a test and measure process where we actually go through a process to verify, is this idea worth pursuing further? Should we take it to the next step? And sometimes when we do a little testing and measuring and we gather some data, we get surprised. It may not be quite the opportunity that we thought. And the other thing that you mentioned that I often have this conversation with business owners, those things that you feel like were failures may have been your tuition to learning a valuable thing, something that it may have cost you time and it may have cost you money, but that didn't go to waste because you actually gained knowledge through that experience. And it's, I know at the time you can be disappointed and you don't see the silver lining to the cloud or the lesson learned, but it is true, just as you say, that those are not wasted. That actually is an
No,
opportunity to learn.
and it's interesting, right, Scott, because the first, I guess, maybe initial, if you take my career in the 30 years, the first probably half of it or more than half of it, I always was hard on myself,
Mm-hmm.
meaning any mistakes that happen, right? Actually literally treated as a failure of me as personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think kind of life taught me some lessons in the past decade. I kind of realized that, okay, you know what, maybe I need to flip it in a way that I don't see them as a failures, as a personal failures, but rather lessons. So which actually kind of like changed my perspective and thinking. So
Mm-hmm.
better late than never. So,
I hope I'm not stretching this to even say those quote unquote failures or setbacks or things that didn't work out as well as we thought are actually the best times for us to learn. When
yeah,
everything's going smoothly, we're really not learning anything. In
learning
many
anything.
ways,
Yeah,
we're not gaining, we're not growing.
yeah.
But once we go through some of those experiences, those are actually the opportunities to grow, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. And sometimes we had to have some kind of awareness to even have that wisdom to say, okay, we are growing rather than putting ourselves down and kind of bashing ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
So I asked you a bit about the past. Let's look kind of at the present. When you think about the challenges that your business faces today, what can you tell us there?
Well, capital efficiency in this landscape, Scott, there's a capital out there, but the real challenge is finding the right partners who believe in your
Oh,
mission
mhm.
and can fund you at the right moment.
Hmm.
Timing and alignment are critical, especially for purpose driven ventures like ours.
Hmm.
The second thing is the pace of AI innovation and the talent resilience. As you know, AI is evolving at a breakneck speed right now. What used to
Is
be
it ever?
quarterly shifts now happens weekly.
Hmm.
In this environment, upskilling both internally and in the broader healthcare workforce is a major challenge. We have to stay nimble and design tech systems that are very future resilient and ethically grounded. And the third thing I would say is to make these things happen, we had to be very lean and agile organization.
Hmm.
So we are structured in with basically no layers, which forces clarity, speed, and precision in decision making. So the goal isn't to chase every trend. It's to extract maximum value with the minimum bloat for both internal teams and external customers.
Hmm.
I mean, navigating healthcare regulation without stifling innovation, that's another thing, right? Because healthcare is complex and heavily regulated, and rightfully so. But while there's been progress, the pace of regulatory clarity needs to catch up with the speed of technology advancement. So
Hmm.
innovation does not get delayed.
Let's look to the future. Where do you see your company in the next 5 years?
Hmm. So, based on our plan and the roadmap today, our goal is to achieve to serve 60,000 physicians across small practices, medium sized clinic, and hospital networks. Now, what that would mean from a patient side is basically touching or impacting the lives of about 300,000 patients with a
Hmm.
measurable improvements in care coordination, access, and experience, right? And then next thing would be, while obviously we're talking about 5 years from now, wherein we are establishing a trusted AI infrastructure in US healthcare, which is very compliant, secure, and patient centered and physician centered. And partnering with public health and federal programs to reach rural and underserved populations.
Hmm.
And finally, playing a role in policy shaping and digital health standards, especially around AI governance in healthcare.
When you think about success, who comes to mind and why?
Well, three people. The first one is the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, who is actually my senior in college. Uh,
Wow.
so he transformed Microsoft culture from top down to learn it all, right? I mean, fostering empathy, innovation, and inclusion at scale. Now, he's the proof that culture can be a very competitive advantage. Now, the second is Naval Ravikant. He's an entrepreneur uh, and a great founder who brings intellectual clarity to entrepreneurship. I mean, he focuses on leverage, compounding, and building with intention, resonating deeply with how I or we design businesses and teams. Now, third is John McKay. If you know John McKay, he's the founder of Whole Foods. His
Hmm.
principles around conscious capitalism inspire me. Not just capitalism, conscious capitalism. What
Hmm.
that means is profit and purpose aren't mutually exclusive. Companies can thrive while elevating humanity, employees, and the planet.
What sets your organization apart in the industry, Sri?
We are not just an AI company. We are a purpose driven innovation company solving real human problems.
Hmm.
Now, at our core, we are people first. Whether it's patients, physicians, or team members, empathy drives everything we build. Now, while we describe ourselves as agentic AI first, that only works when we are people first, employee first, and mission first.
Hmm.
Our team has to come together because they believe in the vision, in the impact, and in each other, not just the tech. Now, our leadership team brings a unique blend of clinical, technical background, and policy expertise, a trifecta that allows us to build reasonably, responsibly, and strategically. We are a compliance forward by design. meaning in
Mhm.
healthcare, especially application of AI, overlooking regulatory nuances is a common mistake. We build with governance, safety, and trust at the foundation. We collaborate across distributed teams and diverse geographies. Bound by a shared mission to humanize healthcare through responsible innovation.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Okay, because every decision is shaped by the resources and context you have at the time, with a different input, say, a strong mission, like for example, if we had a strong mission forward leading person, or with an industry backed technology leading a leader early on, and definitely more capital, I might have made different choices. But I am grateful for the constraints we had. They
Mhm.
forced clarity, creativity, and resilience. Now, will I do some things differently? Sure. But those exact challenges helped us become who we are as a team
Mhm.
and a business today. And we do have a long way to go. Don't try to do things yourself. You know,
Okay.
I I can do a lot of things, but sometimes I could harm myself too, right? Because it's very good to have the right partners, understand what your weaknesses are, understand what your strengths are, and then try to, as much as you can, reach out to people or bring in co-founders or bring in advisors, connect with your partners, or so on and so forth. Try to put together a cohort of people who can support you or who could help you or who could be part of your journey, but that's, I think, that's one thing that resonates with me when you ask me that.
I agree. I feel like, and for a lot of founders and a lot of people initially who wear all the hats, who have all of the different responsibilities, sometimes that is a difficult thing for them to recognize that if I try to do it all myself, there are certain parts of my business I am very good at. I need to spend more time doing that. But if I'm spending time doing the things I'm not that good at or I don't enjoy, then I've wasted the opportunity to do these things that would benefit my organization even more. So, not trying to do it all yourself, making sure you get expertise in place to be able to handle the things that are appropriate
Yeah,
to delegate to someone else is a very important part of early business ownership that I think escapes people sometimes. They
yeah.
just they feel like I heard someone say I'm saving a salary, but it's costing me a fortune. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to share with our audience?
Uh, Healthcare is very personal. Every founder has a human thread, right?
Hmm.
You don't need to be in an industry for 20 years to fix it, but you do need to listen, learn fast, and stay humble. If you're in tech, this is one of the most meaningful areas to build in. The other thing I'll say is intuition matters. And one of the practices that helps me stay centered is meditation.
Okay.
It gives me space to unplug, reflect, and cut through the noise. Now, as founders, we are often overwhelmed with input, emails, metrics, opinions, so on and so forth. You need moments of stillness to self assess and course correct. So, what I would say is, I would encourage every entrepreneur or not, any individual, right, to find their own rhythm of reflection. Now, whether that's meditation or praying, journaling, walking, or just sitting quietly.
Thanks for that. What questions do you have for me as a business coach? The things that might get them off focus. It is difficult for many business owners to stay true to a particular mission. We often see people diversify. Has its place. Diversification has its place to be able to protect you from some of the volatility in a particular area. But what I too often see is that someone who tries to do too many things is not expert in any of those things. if they can stay focused, stay in a niche or a niche, a particular area that they serve the market the best and do it excellently, it seems to me that I've seen greater success. If they get distracted and feel like, well, they can be doing other things. For instance, if their idea is to build a product or service that provides the highest quality experience for the customer, they may be tempted when someone asks for a lower price, or someone
Mm,
asks for quicker service, or someone asks for something else that isn't necessarily aligned with highest quality. If they try to be the cheapest and the fastest and the highest quality, the likelihood is they won't do any of those things very well. Someone else
mm.
may beat them at all of those things. So I think the most successful entrepreneurs stay focused on the particular area, their niche or their niche where they excel. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, they can go to my LinkedIn. It's
Okay.
if you type in Sridhar Anandula, I can be found on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Or if they want to send a quick email, it's SRI at WeKare with a K, not a C,
Right.
WEKRE.ai.
Sri, thanks for sharing your story.
Well,
This has been an interesting and certainly our audience is going to find it informative and valuable.
no, it definitely was for me because it's another moment for me to self-reflect on these things. But thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Great, great. All right. This has been the Business Spotlight series with Scott Lawson from Action Coach of Coastal Bend and Sridhar Anandula of WeCare. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see great content. Thank you for watching or listening today. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.